should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
What are you talking about? Playoffs? Didn't you playoffs? NFL's nothing but a racket.
Two nuns and a goat get off a train in Cleveland.
Stat right edge, stat right edge.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Seattle's a tough guy town.
Brilliant.
Straight up. Cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out.
Stay or go?
Should I stay or should I go?
Thank you, Amsterdam. Thank you, New Delhi. Thank you, Timbuktu.
The clown from Brown.
Think I ain't?
He's the fourth in the north.
Not a chance,
this
me boy.
Is the common man, Dan Cole.
Like a fine wine, I get better with age, me boy. I've never been better. I'm about to be 66, and I'm stronger now than I was when I was 26. Now I know what Mark Rosen has been saying for all these days and weeks and months and years. Ack-ack-a-dack and dack-dack-ack you and yours. I'm the common man, Dan Cole. This is the worst all-sports radio station in the country. So says a former employee who funny was fired from here. We're here for the next 3 hours. We fill in Fuller. Yeah. In for Tennessee for not one, but 2 segments, not the entire show.
Bogo.
It's Frogo. It's Frogo, and apparently, I think Tennessee had some like a recital or something, kids stuff, and it's faith, family, then frequency, right? For me, it's faith, family, fairways, then frequency. Actually, sometimes I put friends in front of frequency, especially if those friends. Put it this way, Max. I'm going to tell you something right now, and I want you to listen closely.
I'm listening.
Ask not what the common man can do for you, but what can you do for the common man? That's what I'm worried about. I want you to tell me what you can do for me. So it's for me, if my friends can do things for me, then it's faith, family, friends, and fairways. And then frequency would finish 5th. When Tennessee first said I thought it was because he was so devastated by Gus giving up 7 goals last. Well, he gave up 5, and they had to pull him out of the game. It's like, that's a bad loss. No matter how you cut it. Now, because the team has been very successful to this point, you know what? I guess I'm willing to cut him a little slack. And this is the tough love covenant. Now, I know you're thinking you're getting soft in your 66 years that I just mentioned. No, it's because, sometimes I have this reputation of being just this negative, okay, maybe, grouchy, hold people to higher standards than you hold yourself. And maybe I do. That's all right. It's not a big deal. But look, they're going into that game. They have they're the best team in the National Hockey League. Of course, that's twice now. Gus has had some troubles between the pipes. I think it was 2 nights ago we won in a shootout 5-4. He gave up 4 goals and 25 shots, and then last night he gave up 5 and 26. Now, everybody's. I don't know if this is true, but I bet even the Slater Slugger has left at 2:00 and came up empty. I mean, probably doesn't happen often, but every once in a while it's like, well, I just couldn't find a gal that was really going to work with me, right?
Right.
So it's not as though it's so I'm willing to give Gus the benefit of the doubt. That's 2 in a row. I don't think you ever went 2 nights in a row.
Oh, no. That's the difference between me and the old Gus bus.
That's exactly it.
The Max Express only gets flat tires very rarely.
That is correct.
The Gus bus, it's 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, and so you begin to wonder a little bit. So I thought maybe Tenneby just was so devastated it was going to take him a couple of segments just to get the courage to come up as the Jolly Green Giant. But it sounds like he had a family reason, so that's always good. It is a phone it in Friday. How about this? This is going to be a very interesting program password. Have you heard the participants?
I saw some of them. I saw that PA is playing. I love when PA plays. He's one of my underrated program password players because he gets so into it.
Well, he gets into it, and he's a loose cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
You have no idea what he's going to say. I don't even think he knows what's flying out of his mouth. He's I mean, look, I hope nobody takes this wrong, but if you went like up to his head and went, there's some emptiness in there, it seems like sometimes, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And me too. It takes one to know one.
Everybody here at the fan.
Everybody at the fan's got to, I mean, nobody, I don't think there's one person on the air staff that's playing with a full deck.
No, that's a recession on brain cells here at the fan. Is. Yeah.
So that's fun. And then Cindy, here's the other thing. There are people that have played Program Password that I don't even remember them ever playing. So I don't know. I think he's played before, but I don't know. This guy.
He's had to have played with Double T.
I would think he's played. I don't think Double T's ever played Program Password.
Double T's ever played?
I don't think so. Now, I do know Greenway is making his debut, I think. I don't think he's ever played. So
how do you think he's going to be?
I think he'll probably be okay, as long as you keep it, hut 1, hut 2, hut 3, keep it real simple. These football players, you know how they are. So I think it could be fun. So that's going to be at 1:30. No Lil B today.
Oh.
She's out again. Last week she was, I think, in New York for Booty Cruise. No, Jingle Ball, whatever it's called. And I think she might have another Jingle Ball this weekend, too.
My God.
Put it this way, she's not long from Minneapolis and St. Paul, I don't think. I think her star is rising across I.
You think so?
Yeah. Mine's falling. It's crashing. It's
We'll make a wish.
Well, I had the coroner's office today talking about how much they could make AI sound just like the common man. It's like they're already trying to replace me with artificial intelligence. But when you have
I don't think you sound anything like Allen Iverson.
Wait, hold on. Give yourself a rim shot there. Not only do I not have artificial intelligence, I really have no intelligence at all. So it's hard to replace no intelligence with artificial intelligence when you've got no intelligence at all. You know what I say? Bring it.
Yeah.
Well, he was trying to tell me how they could duplicate what you do. For instance, it was like they'll know when you're going to go to a break. They can sense when you stop talking. But it's like, how many times have you heard me go, I'm really wondering, I can't think of the word. And then I stop, and then there's dead air. Well, then would artificial intelligence immediately go to break?
Right. They wouldn't know to play the intermission music.
That's exactly right. Now, he claims they eventually would be able to do that, and maybe so, but by then, I think I'll be put out to pasture by then. I'm not long for this business. I mean, I can stay as long as I want.
You're the common man.
We don't have you don't have these kind of report cards, and they go, we probably think it's time to let them go. They're like, what can we do to make them stay? But eventually, I will go. My guess is, like you and Nordo and JG and Tenneby and some of the others have discussions about who will replace the common man, because everybody wants to be in the big chair every day, right? Would you like to be in the big chair?
Sure, why not?
So then you think to yourself, do you guys ever have those discussions about who's going to get the big chair, and who do you think leaves first?
Yeah, we got a pool. We got a pool going. We're all gambling on the side about it.
Because I don't think any of the morning show guys are leaving anytime soon. I think they love their gigs too much, and there's what would we do without them? PA ain't going anywhere.
No.
I mean, as long as he's the voice of the Vikings, he will be here. And Barrero, I think, will retire behind the mic. I'm probably the first one that will.
Looks like it's you.
Yeah, I think I'm the one. And I think it will be on my own volition. Is that a word?
That is a word.
Can you look up volition for me? Volition. Volish. VOLISH.
Volition.
Volition. And what is the definition of volition?
The faculty of power of using one's will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will facilitate. I will facultate my own departure. I think when I decide to go, I'll go. Now again, I may be getting a little cocky here, right?
Right. I mean, you never know when the Reaper's going to be knocking on the door.
It could be right out there going, you poor fool. You have no idea.
We already got your name on the list.
Well, your name's on the list. You're next. You've been redlined. Redlined. And that's okay, too. But how you been?
Black and beautiful last time I checked.
You look great.
I haven't looked in the mirror in a while, so I might just be black.
I'm pasty and I look okay. I'm like a pasty white. But I am going to go on.
You got a little tan going.
Well, I'm going on a little vacation.
Oh,
yeah, I'm taking the family for Christmas. We're going to go to a warm weather climate.
Where are you guys going?
Going to Palm Springs. Yeah. Turks and Caicos is a bit too pricey for me. That's more of a Mark Rosen thing. I just think I'll go to Palm Springs. We're just going for a quick little stay, a couple of days. Well, more than a couple, I think 5 days.
Sun, catch some waves.
Yeah, maybe play a round of golf and go to the. There's some Joshua Tree State Park, National Forest. I don't know what it's called. Then they've got some kind of gondola that you get on and you go to the top of the mountains out there. So, yeah, we're going to do a little fun in the sun, so we'll do that. Let's take a break. We got plenty to get to here on the Common Man program. And remember, there is no way artificial intelligence can replace the genuine stupidity that we know from noon to 3. It just can't be. We'll take a break, come back with more here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Fan.
Metallica and Mannheim Steamroller. You got something to read?
I do indeed. Stick around following every noon Vikings game this season for Vikings Overtime, hosted by Paul Meatsauce Lambert. I am there as well, presented by Park Chrysler Jeep in Burnsville. Catch them all right here on KFAN and on the free iHeartRadio app.
So it's time for Peek at the Poiple. It's brought to you by Affordable Electric. You know, if you're planning on a kitchen or bathroom remodel, you might not know this, but you're going to need an electrician. And why don't you use the family-owned and operated electrician? That's the perfect choice. No job too small. They're old home specialists. We're talking about Affordable Electric, affordable-electric.com. And remember, Affordable Electric, shockingly affordable. You know, Max, I don't think we've been talking enough about Sam Darnold. I just don't think there's been enough Sam Darnold conversation on this radio station. And Jake, we email and talk more than most people know, and he's very into the Vikings, and he's a thinking man's football kind of a guy. And he writes this. Now it's not real lengthy, but I still think it's worth reading. It says, one thing no one is remembering is what he writes. And I thought, well, that intrigued me. And so then I read the rest of the email, and it says, KOC has said these words one time and one time only. After J.J. McCarthy's season was over to have surgery, KOC said, we have our franchise QB in the building. He's never said that before, not even about Cousins at any point. They believe in J.J. McCarthy. And let's say McCarthy isn't as good as Darnold. Let's say he's 80% of what Darnold is, and he's still better deal because you can continue to put better and more pieces around McCarthy with his low contract. And if he is a quarterback whisperer, then he can turn McCarthy to be elite. And if McCarthy isn't the guy, that's okay. You have a complete team everywhere else then and bring the missing piece in. Because if McCarthy is bad, it's clearly not the coaching or team around him. We have $76 million cap space next year as of now, with every key guy under contract already. McCarthy's the way to go. Look at Mahomes' rookie year. Alex Smith played great, played out his mind, but they went to blah, 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 blah. In other words, he's doing that theory, and he is being very careful. He's not insisting that it's etched in stone that Kevin O'Connell is the greatest quarterback whisperer, greatest quarterback coach, the Q-Dubs in the history of pro football. But that is, and I always like to be careful. Sometimes I'm late to the party that way. You know, with the esoteric approach, sometimes I can see things more clearly than most people well before anything is literally established, right? Other times I don't have a great feel for it. And when I start to thunk it over, I start to think to myself, well, it might not be as easy as that, but it seems like, and I don't know what percentage of Viking fans out there that feel this way, but a lot of them, I think it's a done deal. Kevin O'Connell can take any quarterback and bring him in and turn him into a great player. That it's just not going to matter. In other words, well, go ahead, let Darnold take us to the Super Bowl, then let him go. He can sign that $40 million a year contract for 5 years with somebody else. We'll just use McCarthy. And then he'll lead us to a Super Bowl, and then we'll part ways with him, and we'll bring in the next guy. I just don't know if it's quite that simple.
I don't think it is either.
Well, I know that it's been a wonderful run for Sam Darnold, but it's possible that it is all coaching. It is. I'm not suggesting that. I'm not ready to say that yet. For instance, maybe he had bad coaching in New York. Maybe he had bad coaching in Carolina. Tenneby and I looked at this earlier in the week, Max, where we went over, and we didn't look at every single quarterback that's been drafted in the National Football League, but I had the list, and it's lengthy, and we started throwing out names of guys that were highly regarded when they were drafted, either the first pick overall or second or third, first-round draft picks for the most part. And they just didn't ponder like a Christian Ponder.
Right.
Had Christian Ponder work with KOC, would he be Pat Mahomes? I mean, and people seem to want to suggest that it's that simple, and I don't think it is. Should Mike Shanahan in the San Francisco 49ers get some of the credit? He spent an entire year watching a team from training camp go to the big game. Now, they lost to Kansas City. Shanahan has had, I've got the record here. I mean, Shanahan, last I checked, now he's been a head coach longer, but he's accomplished significantly more than Kevin O'Connell has. Here's
he's been to what, at least?
Well, he's been to two. He's been to two big games.
Yeah.
Here's what I have for you. Hold on, give me a second here. Here it is. 3 division titles, 4 postseason appearances, 4 NFC championship game appearances, and 2 big game appearances. He watched the head coach, the person mostly responsible, if you want to give a lot of credit to the head coach, because that's what we're doing here with KOC. That guy must know what he's doing. So did he absorb, and then he watched Brock Purdy, who's turned into a pretty good quarterback, pardon the pun. Do you think part of that had something to do with that? And then we all talked about we have bookend tackles, the greatest wide receiver in the history of the game. Along with that, we have the best 1-2 receiver combination in the game. We have Hawkinson. We have Jones, Aaron Jones as a running back. How much of that has to do with where he's at right now? This isn't to take credit away from KOC. And maybe, and you know what? I talked about this yesterday. I'll be more than happy to do the apology segment if every quarterback that comes through here. There was somebody yesterday was telling me we let Darnold walk, and then we turned Danny Jones into the next Sam Darnold. And then after that, we let him walk, and we just keep trading these guys for draft picks. We just become this quarterback factory where, okay, hey, guess what? We just turned Danny Jones into the best quarterback in pro football. What will you give for us? We'll give you 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. Okay, we'll take that. And then we just start stockpiling picks. Then all of a sudden, J.J. McCarthy comes in, and he turns into the best quarterback in pro football. And then we put him on the market. Hey, we're taking offers for J.J. McCarthy now. And all of a sudden, it's like, we'll give you 2 first-round draft picks and a second-round draft. And we get those 3 picks. And then whoever we get on that draft, maybe it's Max Fuller. We turn Max Fuller into the next great quarterback. Is it really going to be that easy? I think people need to, I pump the brakes just a little bit here. It's all going well right now. And, you know, if he can do it again, because I'm getting the feeling they're going to let Darnold walk.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they're starting to believe everything that's being said about him over there at Winter Park. The new Winter Park, the old, the TCO Performance Center, that they're going to say, look what we can do with these guys. And I get it, because Tenneby and I have talked about this a lot. I'm starting to believe that for the longest time, I was one of those guys. You got to have a franchise quarterback. You got to have that Joe Burrow, that Josh Allen. You got to have that Pat Mahomes kind of a guy, right? But that does eat up a lot of money. It does. I mean, these guys are making 40, 50 million. I mean, Dak Prescott's making, I think Tennessee looked it up, 60 million a year. It's hard to then put quality players at all the other critical positions because you're spending so much on the quarterback. So I'm starting to believe that is the best way to go. So I don't mind trying to coach up some quarterbacks. And you don't even have to have the best quarterback in pro football to win championships. We saw what happened in Baltimore. That's a long time ago. That's the one example that's always used. The Ravens, when they had Trent Dilfer.
Yep, right.
Dilfer was, no one's going to suggest, I think, that Trent Dilfer is going to have his bust chiseled out for the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. But their defense was so good. It was so good. They had, I think during that season, they won 3 games in a row where they never scored a tutty.
Wow.
It was just field goals. They won like 9-6, 12-3, 9-6. That's how they were winning football games. So I'm all for it if you can do it. But if you want, that's still a leap of faith. If, let's say, Darnold takes the team to a big game, even if you don't lose, or you don't win, let's just say, or you just make a deep run, you lose in the NFC Championship game, but it's really not because of him. Maybe the defense gave up something, he had some bad turnovers, or, that a fumble by Jones or something. And then you say, well, Darnold was really good, but we're going to move on to McCarthy. And if it doesn't work with McCarthy, and Darnold stars somewhere else and leads another team to it, well, then you're going to, but it's something to think about, I think. Max, thanks for filling in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Because I see Tennessee over your shoulder, so he is here. Our paths will cross again sometime soon, I'm sure.
They will.
That was your peek at the purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Affordable-electric.com. Shockingly affordable. We're back with more after this. Tennessee joins us next right here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
I'm going to, yeah. I had to switch computers over from Max's, so it just takes a little time. But join the Power Trips Meat Sauce tomorrow for the grand opening of Planet Fitness's new location in Edina. Stop by from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. to check out the new location and to register for great prizes, including a free 1-year Black Card membership and KFAN swag. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
I've heard also Meat Sauce is going to put on a weightlifting demonstration. He's going to do 5:15 at 5:15 is what he's going to do.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, I think we all would. I'm guessing, I don't know why you were 2 segments short of the show today. I'm thinking it was because you were at a Soil and Water Conservation District meeting, because remember, you got elected to that position. I voted for you. Is there something wrong with the soil and the water over there in your neck of the woods?
When the temperatures get cold like it does right now, it freezes, and it's hard to get the water flowing like we're accustomed to.
Right. So you had to go out there and take a look at it with a hard hat on and check it all out. Well, good. I'm glad you're tending to your duties because you were elected to be the Soil and Water Conservation District guy for that Mounds View area. Then I thought at first maybe it was... well, let me ask you this way first.
Yeah.
Would you trade Kirill...
Capriza
for Draisaitl, because I'm starting to think I like this Draisaitl guy. 3 assists last night and a goal.
Yeah.
What happened to your Wild club last night? Just one of those nights that we were just going to...
2 things. Right. First, I want to talk about, it was on ESPN Plus again last night.
Okay.
Remember back in the day, all the cord cutters out there thought, what a great idea this is. We're going to cut cords. We're going to put our foot down and not pay this much for cable, and we're going to show those cable companies we mean business.
Right.
That has completely backfired on us.
Has it really?
To the point where now you need to have like 10 different apps to watch sports. They're all streaming on different devices. And let's be honest, like the streaming services we now get are not as good as the cable service we were once getting for everything.
Okay.
So in last night's broadcast, I got into it like an hour late, but on ESPN Plus, you can watch from the beginning. So I wanted to watch from the beginning. Sure. So I got about 2/3 into the first period, And multiple times the thing cuts out, screen goes black. I have to start over. I have to go back to and like the fast forward and rewinding toggle service on ESPN Plus is awful. Like you can never get it exactly where you want to fast forward to. You'll hit the play button and it'll still fast forward for another 5 minutes, which is just a pain.
Yeah.
It got to the point where I wasn't able to watch anything past, and I just gave up because it kept cutting out on me. So I will say I only watched 2/3 of the first period.
And they only played about 2/3.
And they were down 1-0 at the time. That being said, the amount of hockey I watched, when I saw the 7-1 score at the end of the game, I was not surprised because that was the direction that game. I mean, they were just being completely outclassed from the first drop of the puck last night.
We lost Middleton?
First shift, yeah. 37 seconds in, and they were already without Jonas Brodin. That being said, like that's the excuse being thrown out that I've heard.
Computer, we call it, yeah.
And here's me about to comment on a game I didn't see 2 periods of.
You've learned from the best. That would be me.
But I get like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's not the team you want to play without Jonas Brodin and Jake Middleton. You can still like give forth an effort and like compete though. Like I wouldn't, if you lose, that's fine. I get it. And if you give up a couple goals, but they were completely outclassed. They looked like they had cement in their skates last night. It was a very slow speed versus a very fast speed. They had no business being in that game in any way, shape, or form.
Do we know why this would be? Is there some type of, is burgeoning a word? Burgeoning, could you look up the word burgeoning? Burgeoning. Burgeoning. I think it's like the beginning is what I think it is. A burgeoning rivalry between these two teams. I think we talked about that because we've been trying to figure out rivalries. And Edmonton's burgeoning.
Growing or developing quickly?
There we go. Do we have a growing or quickly developing? In other words, did Edmonton say, we want to make a statement here? And we know the Wild, the cute little Wild club, they have the best record in hockey, and everybody's talking about them, and Kaprizov's the greatest of all time, and look at Faber, and look at all the wonderful stuff, and Gus and everything, and then they said, well, we're going to show you. And again, that's not to say that would happen if they played again tomorrow night. The score could reverse. I don't know, but is there anything to that, or what?
I wouldn't say rivalry.
Okay.
I've never gotten the impression these two teams hate each other. They've never played each other in a playoff series. Could it be, hey, we're facing with the team that's the best in the National Hockey League right now and the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and we want to show them, hey, this could be a potential playoff matchup, right? It's the old sending a message in case we play them in a playoff series down the road, and the Wild did beat them a couple weeks back in Edmonton. There might be something to that.
Okay.
I think it's just the Wild. The Wild were complete no-shows last night.
Gus, any concerns? I mean, he gave up 4 goals the night before and 25 shots. He gave up 5 last night after 26. That's not a good percentage. And he's been the best goaltender statistically up until those 2 games. Just one of those things that happens to everybody. I mean, I even occasionally will shoot an 86 or an 87, right?
I'd have to go back and look at the highlights of the goals to see what kind of goals he was given. I will say that the part that I watched, it was just complete nonsense in front of him. So it's probably hard for me to blame him a whole lot in that game last night. I will say the game in Utah, that was kind of the first crack of Gus, and that just shows how good he's been this year. Mm-hmm. Where the 4th goal he gave up in the 3rd period in Utah the other night, that was all on him. And it was soft, and it was at a bad time. Gave Utah a 1-goal lead in the 3rd. I don't think he was great in Utah. Clearly, he got shelled last night. So there might be a little concern just because, other than Kaprizov, he's the main reason the Wild are in the spot they are right now. And when you look at all the injuries they've had with Zuccarello and Brodin and now Joel Eriksson Ek out, who knows what the Middleton situation is going to be. The reason they've survived all that, and I've been surprised that they have stayed afloat with those injuries because they haven't been a team that's been known for having depth as of last year, is the goaltending and the defense has held them in.
Tennant gave up watching. He should be a staff member of the Wild. They gave up too. Double rim shot there. Watched on, wrong one. Watched on Disney Plus, and I enjoyed it. No issues here. Nice try, Tenna. So he watched it on Disney Plus.
Well, that's the thing with the streaming, right? Is Is it an ESPN Plus issue? Is it because everything's now through the wireless internet? Did I just not have good wireless in my house, right? Like, I don't know if it's just a singular issue to my house, or all I know is when everything was on cable and you could just go find the channel, it was a lot easier. And now we're paying more money than we did back then, and it's a hassle to find, and we're not getting as good of a product to watch.
I like this. Funny, a bad Wild loss is just one of those things. Please cover the Wild with the same disrespect and disgust you have for the NBA. When they get to play like that, I will. You can't compare the two sports. The NBA takes more players and more teams take nights off. I mean, you hear it all the time. Remember we had the quotes from the Malone? It's not a disrespect. They're disrespecting the game by not trying. Talk to the guys that go in there and mail it in. Ask Malone, the coach of the Denver Nuggets, when his team gave up 145 points and lost by 50. You hear what he had to say about the club? Don't come here with that stuff. You're fooling yourself because you're an NBA. You're part of the basketball community. I'm not part of the basketball or hockey community. I don't really particularly care for either sport. They're okay. I don't mind a hockey game occasionally, a basketball game. It's all right. It's all right. I'm a football guy. We got breaking news.
This was about 30 minutes ago. Sorry, I came in here late. So, Russo tweeted that Jake Middleton has been placed on LTIR. That's long-term injury reserve. Ooh. That means he's missing at least 10 games in 24 days. He says, I do believe it requires surgery today.
It was blocking a shot, was it not?
Hand, yeah. I'm sure he broke a bone in the hand.
All right. Not good.
That's what I would guess.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the disrespect for them. There's no disrespect. They disrespect the game. You watched recently? How about your guy Ant? Oh, I'm just going to jack up shot after shot after shot. I'm going to stop moving the ball around. I'm going to stop getting it to the guys that are open that have a better opportunity to score. That's disrespecting the game. Come on, man. You're talking to the common man. I've got this all figured out. I've been watching sports for years. There's nothing
at a high level for a really long time.
Level. There's nothing I don't know when it comes to when it comes to sports. Sports is your whole life, just sports. Received this email, tend to be the other day. I want you to respond to it. Hey, Common, please pass along that completely eating one item on your plate and then rotating your plate to eat your second, then your third is totally weird and boorish. It's called burger and fries, not burger and then fries. It's called bacon and eggs, not bacon and then eggs. The flavor variety complements each other, plus the texture change. I love the way he said, the only reason I read, you do whatever you want.
I would just say, I don't care how you eat your food. Why do you care how I eat my food?
It
has zero impact on you.
It's called burger and fries, not burger and then fries. It's cheap. Sorry, I didn't want to upset you there.
I've heard it my whole life, so it's not anything new at this point.
You got very defensive there, though. But that's okay, too.
I just say I've never understood people's fascination with my eating habits because it has zero impact on them.
Yeah, well, you're right. People are fascinated by different things. I'm fascinated at meat sauce. And and I think a lot of us are. I mean, I've stated that before, that I'm fascinated with meat sauce. Here's another reason I'm thinking he's at Planet Fitness. Is that tomorrow?
Yes.
I think he's there because they wanted a dumbbell inside the gymnasium. Okay. Hey, I got 2 shows coming up real soon. 2 drink minimum. Sorry about that. Here was a tweet that the Scarf Eric Escala, the legendary newsman from WCCO. Also, they celebrated how many that I saw. I didn't even. I apologize that I didn't tip my cap or tighten my scarf. I'm wearing a scarf right now in honor of Eric Escala. They just celebrated like their 40th year of Almanac on Channel 2. Is it 40 years? Is it that long? Did I read that right? Maybe it was 30 years. It was a long, long time. They had a celebration of it. It's a wonderful show. But Kevin Seifert tweeted this out. Is it today the 12th or the 13th today? We're the 13th. So on the 12th, Friday the 15th.
Yeah, so December 7th, 1984 was the first broadcast of Almanac.
So congratulations to all the folks involved in Almanac. Seifert of ESPN, formerly of Fish Wrap Factory West Side, tweeted this. I don't think we discussed it yesterday. Maybe we did briefly. Yeah, maybe we did. I think we did. NFL to mull replay assist on face mask penalties. They're going to mull it over. They're going to talk about it. Tenneby, this is another discussion we've had on numerous occasions about just instant replay in general. Too little, too much, just right. What you should be able to. Remember when they tried it? And I was all for it, though it turned out to be was just too difficult to do. I liked reviewing pass interference because I think it's the one penalty that is missed more often than not, right? You look at it, you go, that wasn't pass interference, or God, that was blatantly pass interference, and they just look at it, and because you don't, and it's one of those that is a judgment call, so it certainly is hard to review. Face masking's not. You either grab the face mask or you don't.
Yeah, it's pretty black and white.
And there are occasions where you and I had a debate about this. The one with the Vikings in the end zone. The ref said he didn't see it. It looks like he's looking right at it. I'm going to take his word for it that he just, and maybe it's just because he's a bad ref, that he did not see it. I don't think he was saying, I'm not going to call that because I've got it in for the Vikings. But there are times where your vantage point is obscured by another player or something. The case maybe you just don't see it, and that doesn't mean it didn't take place. And it is the reason for the face mask penalty is because of the injury risk, right? I mean, if you got a guy running at full speed, you grab his face mask and twist, you might tear his head right off his head. Or certainly you could injure him pretty badly on a face mask penalty. So that's the reason they call it, I think, is the main reason is the injury risk to it. And we do see it oftentimes. I don't know what the average is. I bet Pro Football Focus has some numbers for it. How many face mask penalties are clearly committed in which a flag isn't thrown because ref just didn't see it? I bet it's probably one a game, maybe not that, maybe one every 2 games or whatever the case may be. And they can come at very critical situations. And then you would have the one, and this is the one, I'm usually, and I've let it go. I'm just reminded of it because of this. I've let it go. I let it go the night it happened. You remember, Tenneby, the Monday Nighter 8 years ago, Rodgers and the Packers against the Lions at Pontiac. Last play of the game. Hail Mary effort by Rodgers. Falls harmlessly incomplete. Flag comes in. Face masking on Detroit. And when they show the replay, the pass rusher's finger touched it. Didn't grab it. It touched the face mask of Aaron Rodgers. Now, if that is technically a face mask penalty, so be it. It looked to me, and again, you could say I was biased because I'm a Kitties fan. I think most people realize, though, I've seen my team get the benefit of somebody was so mad about the Green Bay result. I don't know if it was a Packer fan or Viking fan. They sent me this montage. There was like 4 in the picture. It had 4 different. It was quartered. So there were 4 pictures of 4 different penalties that the Lions had committed that weren't called. And they looked all blatant to me. I think 1 or 2 of them were face masks. Another one was a blatant hold, and another one was something or other. I don't know what it was. Maybe they were all face masks or whatever. I was like, well, yeah, I get it. It should have been thrown. They got away with one. People tend to think that other people view games like they do, in that my team always gets called for penalties that don't exist, and penalties committed by the opposition are never called. There are fans that actually believe that. I used to love going up to officials after Baby Brother Peter's basketball game, and I'll go, you called a foul on my boy. He's never committed a foul in his entire basketball career. And they laugh because they know I'm just doing the bit. Because, of course, he's committed a foul. But that's what some people think. Well, my boy never committed a foul, and my boy's fouled. Anytime he misses a shot, it's because he's fouled. My team, the only reason we lost, we got jobbed by the officials. Well, no. So the Rodgers one, I guess in the purest sense of it, I guess it was a face mask. If tapping his face mask with your finger is considered face masking, I guess it is. But I wouldn't mind replay assist on face mask penalties. Tenneby, your thoughts?
Well, to me, the black and white ones, I don't have an issue in, right? If it's, I never liked when they did the pass interference replay did that last a year?
Right.
Before turning back? Because pass interference is so subjective. There's going to be contact that sometimes is pass interference, isn't pass interference. And I just felt like you had to leave that up to the referee. But things like, are you inbounds or out of bounds? Did the ball cross the goal line? Did it not cross the goal line? And even face mask, which to me is pretty black and white when someone's grasping the face mask. So I'm all for it as long as
right.
I always get worried about having too much replay and slowing games down. So as long as it's one of those where the replay assistant can correct it within 15 seconds, get down to you, and we can keep playing the game, then yes, I'm for it.
Why am I in the vast minority that I like long replay delays? Because it gives you time to think about it, get up and run back to the kitchen and get another helping of chili that my wife put together. Get to text somebody and say, "What do you think about that call? Do you think it's going to stand or not?" I kind of like it. I like the little. I mean, I wouldn't want it.
It's not as bad in football just because there's already a lot of stops and starts in football. My sport of hockey, I've always been very leery of having too much replay in hockey because it's a game based off of speed and based off of flow. And when you're stopping games for multiple minutes at a time, I'm not a huge fan of it in hockey.
Yeah. So I would, I'll take it. And then lastly, Tenneby, one more bit. I'm just kind of doing a hodgepodge of things. I'm kind of catching up. We call it housekeeping is what it is. It was a discussion.
Housekeeping?
It's a discussion we had earlier in the week about Royce Lewis, and you and I were debating what's a tougher position to field, second base or third base. And I think you and I we didn't necessarily disagree. I think you thought second base was a little more difficult than I did.
Well, I didn't say that. I was just saying it's not as black and white as it's easier because there is more range. Right. You have to be more athletic to cover more space, but the throwing is obviously easier, and the balls hit out to you, you have more time to get to them. So
Pete's engineering guy says, I'm probably an elite baseball mind at this point, and I watch the 9 wide on a regular basis. My tall son is a pitcher, but on the field he plays some shortstop, but mostly third base because he's one of the best arms on the team. I've seen him repeatedly make throws Lewis simply can't. He does not have a third baseman's arm, and it shows. Third base involves hot smashes and a few players that require charging or ranging towards short, but primarily you need to be able to throw a seed to first to make close plays. Shortstop too, but the throws are not usually as long. Second base involves more plays where you need to be able to move far to the right or the left, turn to pivot properly, and deal with base runners, as does the shortstop, but the throws are much shorter. With my son's high school teams, the players on second are not necessarily there because they are better second basemen, as because they can't make the long throws as well. Yeah. And that probably has a lot to do with it. And maybe that is the issue the team is seeing with Royce Lewis. Because otherwise, I don't know why they would move him there. Because Royce Lewis, if you look at all the players on the team, now, of course, he's had Byron Buxton-itis. He can't stay healthy. If you look at the current makeup of what should be the big league roster coming up, he's the best player on their team, right? I would think, if he stays healthy.
Hopefully.
But I mean, what you've seen, if he stays healthy, would you say he's the best player on the team? So I think he's better than Buxton. I think Correa, you could make the argument, but Correa is also getting a little long in the tooth. And I think the future should be brighter for Royce Lewis if he continues to progress like he does, as long as he can stay in the field. But if he is considered your cornerstone guy and he wants to play third and he's good enough to play third, I don't think you would move him. He wanted to play third. Now he did say, "Well, no, I'm not opposed to moving. I just didn't want to do it when we were in a playoff a push." But I think he kind of likes third. But maybe they do feel that arm just ain't quite good enough to get it to first on a
or they just have better options,
and that could be
that they want to get at third base.
That could be that's what I mentioned last when we talked earlier, that the Brooks what's his name?
Brooks Lee. Maybe he is just a better third baseman, more suited for that position. And then of course they got the Miranda issue. They need to get him out in the field. Not Miranda rights, not that issue. Just Miranda. They need to find a place for him, and third base seems to be the best spot for him. We'll break. We'll come back.
Little 534, no B today. And then 1:30, program password, a very eclectic group of people. The National Treasure will be joined by Chad Greenway. The only team he ever played for was the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, and the head cheese. Dave Sinekin joined Common and 10 to be for program password at 1:30, right here on the Fan.